The film begins at a lakeside cabin where three friends, Jessica, Teresa, and Caleb, are vacationing. Teresa is reading a book while Caleb relaxes by the dock. Jessica, who has been feeling unwell, lies in bed inside the cabin. As Teresa reads from Wuthering Heights to Jessica, something unsettling happens. Jessica, who seems catatonic, suddenly starts reciting the lines of the book in a creepy, monotone voice. Perfectly mimicking Teresa, this eerie behavior escalates quickly when Jessica suddenly vomits violently and collapses. Without warning, Jessica grabs Teresa's ponytail and rips off part of her scalp, leaving her screaming in agony. Before Caleb can react, Jessica appears behind him, looking completely different, her face twisted, eyes bloodshot, and expression menacing. As Caleb backs away, she levitates off the ground before diving into the lake in a disturbing, unnatural way. Caleb cautiously jumps into the water, looking for Jessica. Suddenly, she emerges from the water and lunges at him, pulling him under. Moments later, we see a grotesque fountain of blood shoot up from the water. She kills Caleb before levitating above the lake. The film then cuts to one day earlier, setting up the main story. The story shifts to Los Angeles, where Beth, a guitar technician, has just discovered she's pregnant. Unsure of what to do, she seeks comfort from her older sister, Ellie, a single mother of three. Ellie lives with her children, Danny, Bridget, and Cassie, in a rundown apartment complex, Mond Apartments. Beth arrives and is greeted warmly but senses tension. Ellie is overwhelmed by raising three kids alone after her husband left. The apartment is in poor condition, with flickering lights and a failing elevator. That night, an earthquake suddenly hits, shaking the building. A crack opens in the parking garage floor, revealing a hidden underground vault. Danny, curious, climbs down into the underground chamber. He discovers religious artifacts, 3 old phonograph records, from 1923, and a strange book sealed with human-like teeth. Ignoring his sister Bridget's warnings, Danny takes the book and records back to their apartment. Later, in his room, Danny opens the book by slicing his finger, unknowingly activating the Necronomicon. He plays the phonograph recordings, which reveal an old priest attempting to research the book despite warnings. As Danny continues listening, the record's audio chants an incantation, releasing a demonic force. A strong gust of wind shakes the apartment, and the demonic entity moves through the halls. Searching for a host, while Ellie is in the apartment's elevator, the demon brutally attacks her. Ellie is violently grabbed and lifted off the ground, her body contorted in unnatural ways as she is slammed against the walls and ceiling. The force binds her in midair using elevator cables, which wrap around her arms, legs, and neck, almost like demonic tentacles. Her body is twisted and stretched, and she screams in agony as the entity invades her. Ellie stumbles back to her apartment, where her children and her sister Beth are waiting. Ellie appears dazed, unsteady, and confused, her face pale and sweaty. She mutters in a soft, eerie voice about feeling something inside her and mentions hearing voices in her head. She starts scratching her body as if something is crawling under her skin. Ellie walks into the kitchen and begins cooking eggs, but she cracks them erratically, letting the shells fall into the pan. As she does this, she says in a distant, unsettling voice that she dreamed about killing her family and felt happy about it. Her movements become more erratic, and she suddenly collapses, convulsing violently on the floor. Beth and the kids rush to help her, but Ellie is completely unresponsive. She starts vomiting a milky white liquid, her body twitching uncontrollably before she appears to die in front of them. Devastated, her family assumes she's dead, and neighbors come to help. They place her lifeless body on the bed, grieving and unsure what to do next. They find that the staircase has collapsed, the elevator is damaged, and they are unable to access the fire escape. Suddenly, strange noises echo from the phone, where Ellie's lifeless body has been placed on the bed. Ellie suddenly rises from the bed, her body stiff and unnatural. Her body temperature is burning up, so they put her into the bathtub. The water in the tub suddenly starts boiling, bubbling violently as steam fills the room. Then, in a horrifying moment, she suddenly rises from the bathtub, her eyes wide open, but her pupils are now milky white and bloodshot. Ellie's body begins to twitch and convulse unnaturally. She lets out an inhuman, guttural scream, signaling that the deadite entity has fully taken her over. She creepily stares at her children, speaking in a distorted, demonic voice, pretending to be their mother. She tells them she wants to be a good mom and protect them. Her smile unnatural. As the kids panic, Ellie begins stalking them, moving with jerky, unnatural motions. She suddenly grabs a broken glass shard and starts giggling in a demented way. Beth tries to talk Ellie down, but Ellie lunges at her violently, forcing her to fight. She turns her attention to Bridget. Bridget, trying to process the horrifying situation, is suddenly ambushed by Ellie. Bridget tries to protect her family from Ellie but ends up getting slashed on the cheek by a tattoo needle that Ellie was wielding. The possessed Ellie lunges at the family, forcing them to flee into the hallway. The neighbors, hearing the commotion, come to check on the family, but Ellie turns on them violently. She brutally kills Gabriel, a neighbor, by ripping his eyes out and vomiting them into another man's mouth, choking him to death. Beth and the kids slam the door shut, locking Ellie outside the apartment. Ellie slaughters their neighbors, including Mr. Fonda, the old man next door, their screams echoing throughout the apartment complex. Ellie, now fully deadite, bangs on the door with terrifying strength, demanding to be let in. She growls and scratches at the door, laughing in a twisted voice, before suddenly going completely silent. Danny confesses to Beth about recovering the Naturum Demontu. Bridget goes to the kitchen, where she starts vomiting up a thick, black, sludge-like substance, confirming that the demonic force is taking over her. As she stands up, she stares at her own reflection, watching as the black veins on her face begin to spread under her skin. Much like Ellie, Danny confesses to Beth about recovering the Naturum Demontu, and Ellie tricks Cassie into unlocking the door before attacking her. While Danny and Beth are distracted rescuing Cassie and locking Ellie out, Bridget becomes possessed by her wound. Beth entered the kitchen, horrified to see Bridget standing completely still, her back turned to them. Suddenly, she spins around, revealing that her eyes are now bloodshot, and her skin looks sickly pale with black veins crawling under it. She lunges at Danny, tackling him to the ground and clawing at his face violently. In a chilling moment, Bridget grabs a sharp grater and scrapes it down Danny's leg, tearing off a chunk of flesh. Danny struggles to push her off, but Bridget's superhuman strength makes it nearly impossible. Bridget attacks Danny before turning on Cassie, who inadvertently impales her through the head with a broken broom handle. Bridget collapses and appears dead, leaving Danny shaken and Beth in disbelief. Beth listens to the third record to understand how to exorcise the Deadites but learns the priest failed and his allies were all possessed, with only the destruction of the host stopping the Deadites. Later, when Beth and Danny try to deal with Ellie, Bridget's body suddenly rises again. She is now fully deadite. She attacks Danny again, brutally stabbing him in the chest with a sharp weapon. Danny, mortally wounded, manages to set her on fire, but it's too late. He is already dying. Ellie reappears, taunting Beth through the apartment door, whispering horrific threats about her unborn child. Ellie finds another way in, through the building's ventilation system. Ellie overpowers Beth, slamming her into the ground and whispering in a mocking, motherly tone about how she's going to swallow her soul. Realizing Beth is pregnant, Ellie attempts to rip the fetus out of her, but Beth and Cassie can incapacitate her with scissors. Ellie fails to emotionally manipulate Cassie, who accepts the fact that her mother is gone. Danny and the bodies of the neighbors are possessed, leading Beth and Cassie to take shelter in the damaged elevator. Ellie, Bridget, and Danny merge into a multi-limbed creature known as the Marauder and climb atop the elevator to attack the pair. As the machine fills with blood, the combined weight causes the elevator to plummet to the ground floor, allowing Beth and Cassie to flee into the parking lot. The Marauder captures Cassie and attempts to behead her with a chainsaw, but Beth returns and distracts it, and she and Cassie destroy the Marauder's body by forcing it into a wood chipper. Ellie's decapitated head taunts Beth, saying she will be a failure as a mother, prompting her to kick Ellie's head into the chipper. Beth and Cassie leave the blood-soaked parking garage at dawn, traumatized but alive. The next morning, Jessica, from the opening scene, arrives in the garage, to leave for her vacation, unaware of what has happened overnight. As she looks around, the demonic entity rushes toward her, possessing her and leading to the massacre from the film's opening scene. The cycle of evil begins again, leaving the fate of others unknown.